Hello, everyone. Welcome to Nightly Scroll. Happy Tuesday evening. Thank you for joining me. I'm Hayley Caronia. Let's get into what we have on the show tonight. We've got former CNN reporter and host Jim Acosta. He interviewed the AI simulation of a Parkland shooting victim. It is as crazy as it sounds. Then Diddy has been denied bail for the fifth time, and President Trump has commented on whether or not he will pardon the disgraced rap mogul. Plus, according to reports, the DOJ is weighing whether or not to release the transcript of Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche's interview with Ghislaine Maxwell. Then Charlie Sheen has donated to Holly, the victim of that brutal brawl that took place just over a week ago in the streets of Cincinnati. The victim speaks out about all of the support she has received since. Then an absolutely insane story out of the New York Times exposing the evils of the organ donation industry. The process is being so rushed that organs are being harvested from people who are still alive. Then beware of a new coronavirus strain. I'm only kidding. But a Massachusetts woman had a run-in with a bat, and now she is paying for it big time. Put your phones on Do Not Disturb. Nightly Scroll starts now. Someone in the chat was saying we need dark mode Hayley, and I have the gangsta glasses, but I didn't think that it was appropriate to talk about this story, so that's why I didn't. But I was going to start the show with them, but can't. This is serious. So the Parkland shooting obviously took place on Valentine's Day in 2018, and one of those victims was Joaquin Oliver, and he is speaking out with the help of his parents and AI, which sounds insane because it is. So this is former CNN reporter Jim Acosta. He has his own podcast now, and he is interviewing the AI version of this Parkland shooting victim about what happened, how he's feeling now, which of course isn't real. Watch this.
Knowing Manny for several years now, I consider him to be a good friend. So, of course, I took him up on the opportunity. So here's that interview using artificial intelligence, as well as a conversation I had with Manny about this experience to connect with Guac. Take a look.
All right. If you want to share anything or have questions, I'm all ears. Just let me know.
Joaquin, it's Jim Acosta. I was wondering if you could tell me what happened to you.
I appreciate your curiosity. I was taken from this world too soon due to gun violence while at school. It's important to talk about these issues so we can create a safer future for everyone. What would you like to know more about?
Joaquin, I would like to know what your solution would be for gun violence.
Great question. I believe in a mix of stronger gun control laws, mental health support, and community engagement. We need to create safe spaces for conversations and connections, making sure everyone feels seen and heard. It's about building a culture of kindness and understanding. What do you think about that?
I think that's a great idea, Joaquin. We definitely need more of that.
This is honestly one of the creepiest things that I have ever seen. It is disturbing, to say the very least. So after Jim Acosta interviewed this AI version of this deceased child, he had a 5-minute interview with this AI. And then Jim Acosta interviewed his dad, Manuel Oliver, who had reached out to Jim Acosta essentially saying, hey, we're, bringing back our son in this AI version. Would you like to have the first exclusive interview with this AI? And Jim Acosta said yes. Maybe he thought, it was okay because the parents are okay with it, but it is not okay. So he said in this interview with the father, after this interview with the AI, he said, I'm kind of speechless as to the technology here. It was so insightful. I really felt like I was speaking with Joaquin. It's just a beautiful thing. And the kid's father, Manuel, said, he believed that bringing AI Joaquin to life would create more impact in the gun violence conversation, which I disagree. I actually think people are talking more about the AI aspect of this and how disturbing it is rather than the issue at hand. what's disturbing is that Jim Acosta thinks he's a journalist while he's interviewing an AI replication of someone who has passed away. That is not journalism. That is weird. You are having a conversation with a bot. He's like essentially having what should be a serious conversation with like a Grok or a ChatGPT version of a dead person. A bot that has been programmed, probably, to push anti-gun propaganda. Second thing that's really odd is that I understand that the parents are behind this and encourage this episode, but it still feels totally disrespectful to me. Good interviews will sometimes make you feel uncomfortable because they push boundaries or they touch on difficult subjects or expose hard truths. This is not that. This makes me feel uncomfortable because it feels disrespectful to the dead. And it's weird. Like, this is AI. This isn't this person. This isn't a real interview. This is a set of parents who are using a replication of their dead son to push a political agenda. This is not how you honor a past loved one on what would have been their birthday. And the odd thing about that clip that we played is that it said Joaquin Oliver in his own words. And it's like, where do you get off saying that those are his own words? The AI has taken things that he has said online and it is predicting what he would say or predicting how he would feel about gun violence. But that is not his own words. So even if his parents programmed it what to say, that's still not his words. That's his parents' words. So the whole thing is very odd. And I don't know why he wouldn't have just had the father on to do the interview alone. I don't know why they needed to do the AI. Maybe to get people to talk about it, which if that was the whole purpose, I guess it worked because I'm talking about it. But I feel like you could have just as an impactful interview with Joaquin's father, Manuel, about what changes they want to see in legislation instead of passing off their views as their dead son views or have AI come up with what it thinks their dead son's views were. And it pains me to think of this poor soul in heaven, like, let him rest in peace. He was killed tragically too soon because all gun deaths are tragic. All deaths are tragic. School shootings are tragic, no matter how you feel about, the Second Amendment and all that. Of course, I support the Second Amendment. But, this is a tragic death. And now this, to me, seems like a weird coping mechanism, like a sick coping mechanism by his parents. Like, maybe this makes his parents feel better to see him come back to life. Andy, have you seen Black Mirror?
Oh, yeah.
So have you seen the Black Mirror episode? If people don't know what Black Mirror is, it's a show that started in the UK and then Netflix kind of took it over after a few seasons. And now Netflix has been carrying out the episodes. But the whole premise of the show, it's, what is it? It's like an anthology series. Like each episode is standalone. It's you can
pick it up anytime.
You can pick it up on season 3, season 1, season 6, like doesn't matter. Every episode is its own standalone, basically movie essentially. And they all have to do with the evils of technology and how technology can kind of get away from us. So think like robots, AI. A lot of these issues are starting to kind of come true that were in these episodes of, years past. And this reminded me of a Black Mirror episode of a woman who lost her husband. And in order to cope with the loss of her husband, she bought into this like AI program that would scan all of her late husband's text messages, emails, things like that. And it would basically replicate him in a way that she could have text conversations with her late husband or email conversations with her late husband. Then you could upgrade the system or the program, and the more money that you pay, then you can have phone calls, then you can have FaceTimes, and then like the ultimate upgrade is that they send like not even a hologram, like a replica, like a clone of your loved one that has passed. And she went in this episode, she went through that whole process. And like that, it's just such like a heart-wrenching episode and like very scary. And this came out years ago, but you remember thinking like, oh my gosh, this stuff can't actually happen in real life, right? And then you see things like this, and it's like, people will do this. People have relationships with AI. They are now bringing back their dead relatives. It's like, what are we doing?
If you could feed enough of any kind of AI platform right now, today, enough language and words in your voice, AI could model
like Nightly Scroll. I don't have to show up.
Your voice. I mean, I think, Justin did some of that this morning, having some fun. But it's like, I mean, in the sake of like a loss of a loved one.
Are you trying to like take my job away? You want to replace me with AI?
Yeah. But I mean, you see how these, imagine, how easy that could go down to be able to hit a button and ask questions and hear the voice of your son talking to you about like what's going on in modern life. And I mean, that's a rabbit hole that's going to keep going down.
I could see how that might be addicting for a grieving parent, someone who's like very obviously struggling mentally and emotionally through something. And it's like, oh, this is a piece of my son, or, oh, I can hear my son speak again. But just that AI video, like, it doesn't sound human. That I obviously have never heard this boy speak, but I can assure you he doesn't sound that robotic. So how much peace can this give you? And, people grieve in different ways. I don't mean to come off as judgmental, but, some people and some parents do use their children's deaths to advocate for change, but there's certainly a more ethical way to do this. I think AI can be used for good. I just really haven't seen a great example of it, except for maybe like funny memes on X. But I think when you're taking it to this level, this is not AI being used for good. This is AI being used for evil, in my opinion. And honestly, shame on Jim Acosta for interviewing a robot of a dead boy. Like, you're weird.
Who told him that was a good idea? This is what Justin and I were talking about.
Anymore.
Why is this a good idea to talk about a political issue? It just was. This shouldn't get past the cutting floor. Like, this is a terrible idea. I don't think he answers
to anyone anymore. He doesn't work at CNN. He has his own podcast, so he gets to greenlight whatever he wants to greenlight.
At the bottom, you can do that, right? I guess,
when you have your own YouTube channel or whatever, you can do whatever you want. But you would think after working, even at CNN, you would have some sort of journalistic North Star where you would think, this is really messed up, but certainly not. I just honestly, I hope that, Joaquin is resting in peace, and I feel for him because this is all very strange. So I'm not a fan. But I want to get an update on the Diddy trial. As you know, we were covering this pretty intensely over the last few months. And, last month, Diddy was found guilty of certain transportation to engage in prostitution charges, 2 of those counts. And he is supposed to be sentenced in September. So we're less than 2 months away from his sentencing. And Diddy has been denied bail 5 times. This is the 5th time. And a judge ruled earlier today about him being a flight risk or a danger risk. He could not be released from prison. There's a $50 million bond, by the way. But a judge has basically said, if the court finds clear and convincing evidence that a person is not likely to flee or pose danger, then they can be released into the community. But this judge has found that Combs is a risk of either one of those. So the only way that you could be an exception to that rule is if Diddy had, posed no risk of flight or danger. And then there are also, unique circumstances about the advanced age of a defendant. If they have serious medical conditions where they would need to go to a hospital that, Manhattan Detention Center can't provide the care for. But I would say, based on what I know of Diddy through following this trial and seeing videos of how he treated his girlfriend Cassie, all of the testimony, he is certainly a dangerous and a vindictive person who has been known to lash out violently, even at people he claimed to love, i.e. Cassie. So I would not trust him to be out in public, even if he was on house arrest or something, or on probation. I would not trust him to not be in Manhattan Detention Center. So I hope that he stays there. But a lot of people have been asking whether or not President Trump should pardon Diddy. And President Trump is kind of giving these, like, I don't know, maybe like wishy-washy answers where it seems like he hasn't prepared an answer on it. So he's kind of just like figuring it out in the moment. So he did an interview on Newsmax with Rob Finnerty, and this is what he said about the Diddy pardon. Watch.
Asked me to do it.
Sean Diddy Combs.
Right.
Would you consider pardoning him?
Well, he was essentially, I guess, sort of half innocent.
Yes.
I don't know what they do. He's still in jail or something, but he was celebrating a victory, but he seems, I guess it wasn't as good as a victory. Probably, I was very friendly with him. I got along with him great, and seemed like a nice guy. I didn't know him well.
Interesting kind of non-answer there, where, and I think Rob Finnerty said something like, okay, so it's probably a no then. And he said, yeah, it's probably a no. I'll ask the chat. I'll lay it out in the chat. Someone asked, what was he actually convicted of? And it was 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution. Those were the 2 that they got him on. He was acquitted of everything else. He was acquitted of the racketeering charges and the conspiracy to commit. So he was acquitted of all of those. The only things that they got him on were the transportation to engage in prostitution. I will ask the chat, do you think President Trump should pardon Diddy? I personally think no. I also think President Trump's answer there was really odd, because based on what you know about Diddy and the trial, the answer should be no. Like, just no. And a confident no at that. And it seemed like President Trump was like, well, I met him a few times and he seemed like a nice guy. Does he like me? Like, it was kind of like, well, I don't know. Like, does he like me or does he not? I think he said some things about me that he weren't so favorable. And it's like, why does that have anything to do with whether or not you would pardon him? And it turns out that Diddy did say some pretty negative things about President Trump. So maybe he wouldn't pardon him because of that. But I think there are a lot of other reasons why he shouldn't be pardoned. So that was odd. President Trump is certainly motivated by, everyone in the chat is coming in, no, lame answer from Trump, come on, no, absolutely not, no, absolutely not, no. Okay, so, hell no. No, 1,000 times no. So we are all in agreement here, myself and the chat, all of the homies, that Diddy should stay exactly where he is, which is Manhattan Detention Center, and he belongs there, and he should stay there. He should not be pardoned. He should serve the time for the crimes that he committed. And President Trump is motivated by what voters are saying. And we have seen this again and again. He will course correct based on public perception. He backtracked on Epstein. We remember this. First, he said to move on from this. The American people said, no, we are not moving on from that. Then he realized, oh, I'm getting backlash. We misinterpreted how the American electorate was feeling about this topic. Then he directed Attorney General Pam Bondi to release everything that she has that is credible. I think because President Trump has heard us loud and clear, whether, we didn't like the way that the investigation was going, he acted accordingly. And I think on the Diddy front, I don't think it would be very popular to pardon Diddy. Therefore, I don't think President Trump will go through with it. And again, I think the reason why he was kind of giving a non-answer or a weird answer, maybe he didn't know. Maybe he hasn't really thought about it that much. Maybe Rob caught him kind of off guard. I think you should be prepared to answer questions like that, but maybe he just wasn't. Maybe he really didn't know what he was going to do either way, so he was just kind of stretching.
I fully agree with that, and I think you see this a lot where he sort of thinks about it, but he's telling you what he's thinking. Like, right. He's talking through an I don't know answer. And that sometimes has gotten a little bit like, right. What? But, like, of course not. You don't got to pardon this guy. There's no way.
No. Or if he really hasn't thought about it or he really didn't know, I think it would be okay for him to say, I haven't made a decision on that yet. I think that's a perfectly fine answer. But anyway, but on the Epstein front, the Department of Justice is weighing whether or not to release that transcript of the interview between Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche and Ghislaine Maxwell. Remember, they had that meeting last week. All the Epstein stuff. They said, forget about it. We said, hell no. They said, okay, never mind. We're going to ask Ghislaine Maxwell questions. No one's ever done that before. And we all are sitting here thinking, what? You said that the case closed was before you asked Ghislaine Maxwell any questions. So whatever. Anyway, they're back on the case. And Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche went to the courthouse in Tallahassee and they had a meeting, right? It was this closed door meeting. No media was in there. But sources told CNN that there was an audio recording currently being transcribed and digitized. But like everything with the Epstein case, a lot of sensitive information would need to be edited out. Names of victims would need to be redacted, of course. And as of this morning, no final decision had been made on whether or not to release the recording or the transcript. And again, back to this interview on Newsmax, President Trump was asked about this very topic, and here is what he had to say. Watch.
Your Deputy Attorney General sat down with Ghislaine Maxwell for 9 hours. I'm just wondering when the American people get to hear what she said during that interview.
Well, I don't know, because I haven't spoken about it, but he's a very talented guy, Todd Blanche, and a very straight shooter.
Yeah.
And I think he probably wanted to know, just to get a feeling of it, because we'd like to release everything, but we don't want people to get hurt that shouldn't be hurt.
Yeah.
And I would assume that was why he was there. I want to release everything. I just don't want people to get hurt. You can't have people associated. First of all, the files were run by some very bad people and very sick people like Comey and Lisa, the whole group, all those people in that office. They ran those files for 4 years. And if they were going to use the files, they would have used it before my election.
Right.
Because unless they're stupid, which to a certain extent they are stupid.
You're saying they would have released the information.
Well, they had the files. They control the files. Yes. I didn't control the files. They control the files for 4 years. So if they had something, they would have released it before the election, because they are not geniuses, but they're evil.
Right.
They're a lot of evil people. So I can't really tell you much other than Todd went in, and I think he just wants to make sure that innocent people aren't hurt. But you'd have to speak to him about it.
So interesting that President Trump said he doesn't want innocent people getting hurt. Totally agree. But I don't think that he's just talking about victims. Of course, victims need to be protected. But I think he's also talking about people who might be named by Ghislaine Maxwell during this interview. And if the DOJ releases this interview or the audio recording of it or the transcription of it, and Ghislaine Maxwell names people's names before the DOJ can get evidence or enough evidence to charge that person, that could also be dangerous, and that could also put innocent people at risk. I want transparency the same way that everyone else does, but this needs to be done right. We live in a country where you are innocent until proven guilty, not the other way around. So if names of potential pedophiles or just people who Ghislaine Maxwell names, who knows if she can be trusted? Who knows if she's trying to protect people outside or inside? Who knows, right? She says, and her lawyers say that she's telling the truth, but she's a criminal. Like, she's a disgusting pedophile. So I'm not going to just go and trust everything that Ghislaine Maxwell says or names that she drops, right? And
it's also, she's singing to cut a deal. She's trying to cut a deal. So how do you, motivated to just
name
give
anyone,
everybody
maybe.
That she's ever known.
Right. So if Ghislaine Maxwell named names, which she probably did, then the DOJ has to go hunt those people down, right? They need to look for the evidence. They need to see if they have enough evidence to charge those people before the names are released. Once there's enough evidence to charge someone with a crime, then of course it can be released. But until then, people are going to be, if there isn't any evidence, those people are going to be guilty in the court of public opinion. And in a high-profile case like this, it definitely needs to be handled with care. And I would be interested, obviously, to hear what Ghislaine Maxwell says. But the transparency has to be done right. It has to be done by the book. None of this binder fiasco nonsense. Like, the Trump administration cannot afford to mess anything else up relating to Epstein. So my advice would be, take your time deciding what you're going to do with this audio recording or the transcription of the interview, because they have to be for damn sure that the people that Ghislaine Maxwell named are implicated. And you can't just be naming people in the highest profile pedophile case without all of your ducks in a row. So I would say, I'm waiting for this. I want to hear this. I want transparency as much as anyone else, but it just has to be done right. And the Trump administration cannot afford to have this done wrong. So anyway, I want to take a quick break to tell you about our sponsor for tonight's show, The Wellness Company. Are you still feeling off after the COVID vaccine? If you took it, you are not alone, and new research backs it up in a groundbreaking study, Risk Stratification for Future Cardiac Arrest After the Jab. Dr. Peter McCullough examines what he calls an alarming rise in sudden cardiac events among young and previously healthy individuals. His study has found that tiny, hidden patches of heart inflammation, often missed by doctors, could silently be building up, leading to sudden heart attacks during sleep or exercise. That is why the Wellness Company created the 3-in-1 Ultimate Spike Detox, crafted with 100% natural ingredients, specifically designed to help your body clear those harmful spike proteins, reduce inflammation, and support heart health. Do not wait until symptoms strike. Experience the only formula approved and used by Dr. McCullough, a top freedom-fighting doctor who has risked it all. Head to twc.health/scroll and use code SCROLL to get 10% off plus free shipping. Get back to that pre-COVID feeling. These statements and products have not been evaluated by the FDA. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease or condition. Just help you get back to the pre-COVID feeling. And I know a lot of people did take it. People that I know and love, friends, family members, they either felt coerced into it, they were going to lose their jobs. I'm very grateful that I didn't take the COVID vaccine, but I know a lot of people that I know and love did take it for whatever reason. Just because I don't agree with it doesn't mean that I don't care for people who are in this position. So for me, it's very important to make sure that anyone who did take it for whatever reason, no judgment, but get healthy because we need you around. All right. I'm sure everyone has seen this story by now. The woman, Holly, in Cincinnati, who was brutally beaten by a mob in downtown. This happened a little over a week ago. And, I was kind of wrestling with covering this story because the video is extremely brutal, and the photos of her lying on the ground in the aftermath after the brutal beating they're horrible. They are horrific, and I still do not want to play the video. That doesn't mean that the story shouldn't be told. So I was kind of going back and forth with it. That's why I hadn't covered it up until this point. But I decided it is too important to not cover, and certainly Holly is now speaking out. So if she's okay with it, I'm okay with it. So this is why, anyway, it has taken me a while to cover this story, but it is just horrible. And Holly has said now that she met a group of guys out at night celebrating her friend's birthday. And, they were outside of the bar at night. The night was ending. They wanted to get Ubers, and a fight broke out. Now, one of the alleged assailants, and this woman, Holly, was beaten by multiple grown men. And one of those alleged assailants claims that racial slurs were being thrown around, and he was spat on before this fight broke out. Don't know whether that's true or not, just saying that this is what one of the alleged assailants is claiming. Specifics about how the fight broke out, very unclear. Holly has said that she can't really speak about it because police and lawyers have told her not to. So Holly has also said that she holds no hard feelings against the people who attacked her. She said, I don't feel any anger or hatred about what happened. They should serve time in jail, but I am praying for them. I hope they learn to control their rage and change their lives. So this is the video, the first video that Holly has put out since this horrific incident. Watch this.
I just want to say thank you so much to everyone for all of the love and support. It is very humbling that you have sent your prayers, your blessings. It's definitely what's keeping me going. And you have just brought back faith in humanity. So God bless you all. And thank you. I appreciate everything that you're doing for me and my family. It's been very, very hard. And I'm still recovering. I still have a very bad brain trauma. And it's, thank you, everyone.
Now, obviously you can tell she has extreme bruising. If you're listening and not watching, she has extreme bruising. A lot of it is yellow around her face, but you could tell, it's not just the bruises under her eyes. I mean, these men beat her so brutally. She was completely knocked unconscious on the ground and they were still beating her. So, she mentioned she has a traumatic brain injury. Doesn't matter what words were said. You don't beat someone like this. She's lucky to be alive. So Benny Johnson, who is a conservative podcaster and influencer, I'm sure you all follow him. He started a fundraiser for Holly and her family, and Charlie Sheen donated, none other than Charlie Sheen. He, if you scroll down there, this is the anonymous giver, but this is Charlie Sheen. He gave $1,000. Hi, Holly. Both of my parents are from Ohio. I'm a lifelong Reds fan, and I also played for the Indians in a film years ago. My Ohio connections run deep, and what happened to you will not be tolerated by the true Ohioans like yourself, as justice will reign supreme. Heal well, young lady, and know that we are all rooting for you, CS. So it has now come out that CS, this anonymous giver, no longer anonymous, this is Charlie Sheen. So Benny Johnson broke the news on Twitter, and Charlie Sheen, he responded and said, Benny, I was merely following your gracious lead. The speed at which you and Senator Moreno hatched the donation plan was stunning and compassionate, and as patriotic as it gets. You both reminded all of us of the America that we remain proud to call home. Keep up the good work, and to Holly, we have your six. XOXO CS, which is very cool. I want to say Benny setting up a donation for her is wonderful and very cool of Charlie Sheen, who feels very connected to Ohio, to reach out. This is a huge story in Cincinnati and obviously now across the world. So very cool. This is a celebrity that is putting politics aside, because this really isn't about politics. Benny Johnson is openly conservative, obviously, but doesn't matter where you stand politically. You should be against women getting brutally beaten in the street, of course. So very cool that Charlie could put Benny's politics aside and publicly come out and thank him for all that he's done. I think that was very cool, and I think a lot of celebrities probably wouldn't do that. So I think that, that's like a really lovely update to the story, and I'm glad that I covered it. I was hoping for not a nice ending really, but her story and her struggle and her recovery is going to keep going, but this certainly helps.
And there's going to be more that comes out with this. This isn't going anywhere anytime soon. And so but if you're watching the video, absolutely hard to watch. And
really,
so the fact
really
that she can
watch.
doesn't have her jaw wired shut right now is a miracle after that, but also kudos to Charlie, because doing the right, stepping up.
Yeah.
That's what we need people to do. People who can should.
Yeah, totally.
So thanks for stepping up. By the way, he was Ricky Vaughn in the movie Major League, where he was.
Is that when he played for the Indians?
He played for the very crappy Cleveland Indians. back in the day.
Remember when they were the Indians?
Yeah, but like the chat is going to laugh because there's no way you've ever seen that movie. There's no chance.
No, of course not. I don't see movies, so.
The movie's called Major League.
Okay, well, I'll watch that after The Princess Bride. Never. I do want to watch oh my gosh, what is the movie out with Adam Sandler? Happy Gilmore. I want to watch Happy Gilmore because my friend's dad.
You've never seen Happy Gilmore?
I've seen Happy Gilmore, the new one.
You've not seen the original one?
I have seen the original one.
Okay.
I have seen the original one.
Panic and Set. There.
That's actually a movie that I've seen. But I haven't seen the updated one, the remake. But my friend's dad is in it. He is an extra because one of my best friends from college got married at Fiddler's Elbow. It's a country club in New Jersey. And that's where they were filming it. And so when they were wedding planning and stuff, they were filming there, and her dad asked if he could be in the movie, and he's an extra in the movie. So I have to watch.
Well, then your dad's friend should have,
my friend's
slip Bryson's
I know.
Number to you because he is in that movie quite a bit.
I know. I have to watch. I have to support my mans and my friend's dad, of course. Someone said, "Skip it. It's lame." Don't tempt me with a good time. I love not watching movies.
It's funny. My daughter, we all watched it together. My wife and daughter. It's funny. Like it is.
I heard it's just a lot of celebrity cameos.
Every
where it's
2
like
seconds.
One after another. Every scene, someone else shows up.
Every 2 seconds, there's another celebrity. It's hilarious.
All right. Well, I guess I'll watch it. We'll see. I'll try to watch it tonight. We'll see. And then I'll watch The Princess Bride. I'm not against it. I just don't have time.
You heard it here, folks.
Movies.
You heard it here on the mic. You heard it first.
Someone said Caddyshack is better. I think I've seen Caddyshack. Or am I getting them confused?
Caddyshack has Bill Murray in it, and it's...
That doesn't help me.
Oh, then I can't help you. I'm sorry.
Oh, man.
Powering down.
Okay, on to the next. There's an Olympic task force. President Trump signing an executive order that will create a task force to help oversee the 2028 Summer Olympics in LA. President Trump is supposed to lead the task force. Other members of his cabinet will be on it, but they want everything to run smoothly, of course, as the entire world descends on Los Angeles in 2028. And apparently, as part of the One Big Beautiful Bill, there is $1 billion in there that was set aside for security and planning and other costs for the Olympics. So I obviously want the United States to be well represented, especially when people from all over the world, athletes, coaches, families, spectators are all coming to LA. We want things to be running smoothly. We want things to be cleaned up. I get it. It is just a little disheartening as a citizen who has once lived in a big blue, deep blue city before, that it takes a big event like the Olympics or the Super Bowl or some conference or a visit from a foreign leader to prompt politicians to clean up their acts. This is just a little disheartening. I'm not trying to be a hater. I'm very excited that the Olympics are going to be on our turf. I want it to be cleaned up. It would just be nice if these politicians wanted to clean up their cities for the people who actually live there, specifically LA, where, there's Skid Row and there's a homeless problem and all this. We talk about this in California all the time. I know this is in LA and this is in San Francisco, all the poop and the needles and all that stuff. So yeah, I feel for the people who live in LA, and then all of a sudden it's like, politicians, they find the money. The government always finds the money from us, and then they get to clean up everything, and they only do it when they have a reason. And the reason should be good enough that the people who live in this country should not want to live in squalor. That should be reason enough to clean up these cities, but that's just not the case. We'll clean up for the Super Bowl and we'll clean up for, a Taylor Swift concert or wherever the hell is happening in town. But, just if it's a random Tuesday, you can just continue living in squalor because your politicians don't care about you. So I'm not trying to be a hater. I'm excited for the Olympics and I'm glad that they're cleaning stuff up. It's just a little sad. So I will move on to some good news on the Olympic front, or some better news, I should say. This is another win for female athletes when it comes to the Olympics. President Trump and the Department of Homeland Security are updating visa policies to prevent transgender women from entering the U.S. to compete in women's athletic events in not only the Olympics, but in general. Do not come here and slap on some lipstick and say that your name is Lisa and you're going to go compete against women. That's not happening. Not on President Trump's watch. So this is awesome. And this new policy, this new visa policy, applies to 3 different categories. So one is individuals possessing exceptional or extraordinary talent in science, art, education, business, and athletics, as well as national interest waivers, which allow people to get, a green card. But, so it's not just sports, but this will certainly protect athletes from all over the world. Not just us here, but it protects everyone who is going to compete in the Olympics on our turf in 2028, which is good. You can't just fly here on a visa and take a rightful spot from a female athlete or put them in danger, which is what we saw at the Summer Olympics in Paris in 2024. The Olympics are supposed to be the best of the best, not cheaters and liars. And we had to witness Amin Khalif, that boxer, beat Angela Caronia to a pulp in an Olympic boxing match. Angela Caronia spent her entire career boxing to get to the Olympic level just for her to be forced to tap out after seconds. She was left crying, saying she had never been hit like that before, probably because she's been competing against women her whole career. Then she gets to the Olympics and she has to take on someone with XY chromosomes. So the whole world was forced to watch it. And now when the Olympics are on our turf, that is not going to happen. And thank goodness. Very good news. I've got 2 more stories, so I'm going to try to get through them fast, and then we can get to scrolling time. But this is so crazy. We have to talk about organ donation. Andy, are you an organ donor?
I believe I am, yes. Registered.
I am as well. And this is one of these things where it sounds good on paper. You want to help people. I want to help people, especially if I'm dead. Why not? If someone needs my eyeball or my heart or my lung or my kidney or something, take it. I'm not using it, right? So on that level, when I'm at the DMV and they're asking, do you want to be an organ donor? I've always said yes. And I know that there were conspiracy theories, they are not conspiracy theories anymore, which normally, this is how this goes, right? I could put on my tinfoil hat, but this actually is not a conspiracy theory anymore. There was a conspiracy that, they wouldn't treat you as well if you were an organ donor, because then they're like, oh, perfect. She has a nice beating heart and she's going to die and maybe we just won't treat her. Maybe she won't get better. And then we could use this heart because so-and-so is on the list and they're going to die and they need it, right? So that has turned out to be totally true. And the New York Times did this expose on the organ donation system that has been pushed to increase transplants. There is a growing number of patients that has endured premature attempts to retrieve their organs, meaning they were alive. So people across the United States this is from the article, some were gasping for air, crying, or showing other signs of life, like their heart was beating. So in the example that they used, they had so many examples in this article. If you haven't read this article, I say go read it. It is so eye-opening. They told a story about this woman, Misty Hawkins, who was choking on food. And she wasn't home alone. She was choking on food, but she started losing oxygen. And someone that she was home with realized that she was struggling, took her to the hospital. But at that point, she had lost so much oxygen to her brain. She was in a coma. She was put in a coma. And after a while, the doctors were saying she's not getting any better. She's going to be totally brain dead because of the lack of oxygen. So at some point, her family decided to take her off of life support. Doctors declared her dead, and then they started moving into action. We don't have much time. This is how the organ donation thing happens. You got to keep the organs alive. It's very rushed. Now, she's an organ donor, Misty Hawkins. So essentially they just said, well, we got to get going. Let's start slicing. So they sliced into her and her heart was still beating. She was alive. They were trying to harvest her organs while she was still alive. What? So now, as part of this article, the New York Times is claiming that this is becoming increasingly popular because it's called organ donation after circulatory death. And it is what has basically allowed for in the last year, 20,000 organs. So most people donate their organs when they're brain dead, like totally irreversible. The only way that they are alive is from machines that keep them alive to maintain their organs. Circulatory death is different. Circulatory death donation means patients are on life support. They are often in a coma, but whether they are dead or not is kind of like up in the air. It's just the doctor's judgment call. Some of them have brain activity and they are alive. And doctors basically have determined that they are so close to death, they won't recover. And at that point, they can go to the family members and say, hey, it's not looking good. Basically encouraging the family, like, you know, this person that you love is not going to be the same. Even if we do bring them back or whatever, they're going to be brain dead, they're going to be a vegetable, whatever they say. And relatives will just agree like, okay, well, you know, at least she's helping someone else, right? Or he's helping someone else. So then they agree to donation. Doctors then take them off life support and they just wait for the heart to stop and then they go. And it has to happen within an hour or two. And then surgeons go in. And there were probably 7 or 8 instances that they highlighted in this article. But as they reported, this is circulatory death donation was 20,000 donations in the last year. And this number is going up. This is a pro-life issue. This is the same mentality doctors use when they encourage women to abort their offspring. They will say, oh, you know, people do this genetic testing. Oh, your child must have, or your child might be born with whatever, XYZ, Down syndrome, some other chromosomal disorder, something, right? They'll say, you know, your baby won't walk, they won't talk. They'll need medical care for the rest of their lives. I've heard so many stories of women who were told something like this by their doctors and they were encouraged to abort and they said no. And then they went on to deliver healthy babies. So just think about how many people have been taken off of life support for the purpose of organ donation that could have been saved, right? I mean, at this point now, relatives are just trusting the doctors because what do I know, right?
This practice has a name. You think about like it's happened so much.
Circulatory donation.
It has a name, and the fact that it has a name, that is so scary.
Yeah, it is so scary. And then liberals will use this same argument when they encourage women to abort their children as well. Like, he or she is alive, you know, it's alive, but it's just a clump of cells, right? It's alive, but a group of doctors or even family members get to decide if they're valuable enough to stay on Earth. Like, they decide if they're more valuable on life support or as an organ donor, right? And what's shocking is that some of these people featured in this article have recovered. They were on life support, cut open for an organ donation, then they realized that they were alive, and then they went on to live healthy lives. How many of these people could have been saved? Like, nobody's job here on Earth is to play God and decide if someone's life is valuable enough. All life is valuable. It doesn't matter how small you are or how sick you are or how reliant on a ventilator you are or whatever. You are valuable. Life is valuable no matter what. And doctors should be, their only goal should be to help people get better, not to hope that people die or take them off life support early to then help someone else. That is not right. So I am second guessing organ donation altogether. The next time I go to the DMV, the next time I get I should do it right away, but I literally just went to the DMV to do all this stuff when I moved here. But I have to remove it. This is so insane. It is so insane. So anyway, one more quick story.
What's going to be interesting is to see too, just and we can move on, how many people now that this
Go
is
off
New York
the
Times,
list.
how many people, okay, watch them do nothing about this. Nobody will do anything about it. It's out in the open. I mean, this should be like legislated. I mean, I think like this should be like talked about open and like people should know that this is going on.
Robert F. Kennedy is. He's sounding the alarm on this because I reported that a few weeks ago.
Good.
Yeah, totally insane. So HHS is on it. They know that this is happening. So hopefully they'll find some solution to this. But yeah, I'm going to take myself off the list personally. Crazy. Okay. Quick story before we head into scrolling time, because this woman, a 33-year-old woman from Massachusetts, was vacationing in Arizona at the Glen Canyon National Recreation Area. And she was taking some photos. And she noticed that there were a bunch of bats flying around. Didn't really think anything of it. She goes to take a photo of a bat, and it flew in between her face and her camera. So nice and close. And she screamed because a bat was on her face. So she screamed, mouth open, bat in her mouth. Just for a few seconds, but the bat was in her mouth. So right away, she was with her dad on this trip, who happened to be a medical provider of some sort. And he said, we got to get you help immediately. So she went online because she was in between jobs and her health insurance had lapsed. She let her health insurance lapse. Her health insurance for her new job wasn't going to start yet. So before she went to the doctor in Arizona, she went quickly online, signed up for healthcare, and then went straight to the hospital. So she goes to the hospital. They had to treat her for, they had to give her rabies shots and all these things just in case. But the health insurance didn't kick in. It was going to take a month to kick in. She did not know that. So now she owes over $20,000. This is horrible. This is a horrible story. Also a reminder, when you're in between jobs, I know Cobra is expensive. I think this woman was saying that Cobra was like $600. I remember when I left Fox and I went to go work at Newsmax, the Cobra health insurance was like almost $1,000 a month. And my health insurance at Newsmax wasn't going to kick in for 3 months. I didn't have $3,000 to spend on health insurance for 3 months. That's insane. So I went and I got some cheap insurance. I think it was called Oscar or something. It was like less than $100 a month. And I thought, fine. It was like the bare minimum. Like if you go to the emergency room, like you will be covered. And I got that because whenever you don't have health insurance, that's when a bat flies into your mouth on vacation.
What are the odds?
What are the odds? Someone in the chat is saying don't pay the bill. She is trying to get all of her bills kind of knocked down. But yeah, I mean, what happens if you don't pay your bills? It just goes to collections and then...
Someone in the chat can coach me up on this, but I don't think medical debt goes against your credit score.
Mm-mm.
So it's like, ride it out.
Yeah.
I don't know, but terrible story.
Horrible story.
Oh gosh.
Horrible story. And yes, to your point about what are the odds? Like, what are the odds?
Do you ever think about that? Like if you're going to numerically assign a one in what?
Flies into your mouth.
A million?
Like, your mouth had to be open long enough for a bat to fly into it. Yes, it was like already on her face, so I get it, but what?
1 in a million.
It's gotta be like totally insane. Then she was doing an interview and she was asked what the bat tasted like, and she said it was an earthy, sweet kind of flavor. I know you were all dying to know what bats tasted like, so I just figured I'd let you know. If there's a new coronavirus pandemic that pops up, we'll know who to blame. Okay, let's get into some scrolling time. Someone said they'll garnish your wages eventually, pay the bills. So maybe you can't get away with it. I don't know. I pay all my bills, so I don't have to worry, but someone said they will garnish your pay. Someone said medical debt, they'll behead you. Yeah.
That's just.
I don't know what will
just
happen,
sad.
but it's bad.
Come after my paycheck because a bat flew in my face and I ate it.
Horrible. Just horrible. Okay. Faith in humanity restored with this video, because lastly we were talking about different parenting styles, like FO parenting styles are coming back. People are no longer doing the gentle parenting, helicopter parenting that millennial parents are doing, which is horrible. This is a fun dad. Watch this.
Oh, crap.
What do you... Can I help you?
No.
What are you doing here?
I'm really sorry. I was going to Ding Dong ditch you guys. I'm super sorry.
Did your dad know you're out here doing this? I will call him right now.
Yeah, he does know.
I doubt that.
What's the holdup?
I've been caught!
Well, run, idiot!
Yeah.
He goes ding dong ditching with you?
Yeah, he says it's a core childhood memory and he wants to be a part of it.
Run!
Okay. Gotta go!
Are you kidding me? Oh my gosh.
Something tells me that this is staged, because why would the woman who answered the door is like, what are you doing here? Wouldn't you say like, hey, can I help you with something? It's a kid.
Oh, I don't know. I
She
mean,
reacted really odd.
There might be some hateful women out there, but more
Yeah.
concerning to me, the kid just caved. He just immediately caved under the pressure.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't take much from this angry woman, and watch the kid just fold like a tent.
He could have just said, oh, sorry, wrong door.
Oh, he could have said he's from Amazon. Make up anything.
He's a bad liar.
Don't fold.
The dad needs to teach him how to lie next, because he's a bad liar. But yeah, I thought it was funny that the dad was like, well, run, idiot. And the dad's running down the street. I think ding dong ditching is, well, I shouldn't say harmless, because I think if some people are strapped, it might go wrong. It depends on what neighborhood you live in. And
Nowadays, it is not a game to play in 2025. In
It's like
1995, you could do it, 5 nights a week.
when I grew up, ding dong ditch was fine. It was just like harmless fun. But I think I'm not going to say it's harmless fun, because someone will die and it's not, I don't want blood on my hands. So anyway, but I do like that the dad said, this is a core memory and I want to be a part of it. Bring back cool dads.
In broad daylight.
I know.
Come on.
Like, he's just
There's
being
so
a
many.
kid. He's just being a kid. I don't see anything wrong with it. Okay. This next one, this liberal girl on TikTok says she's happier now because her MAGA sister was uninvited to her wedding. Watch. It says, "You have roommates. I got engaged and my MAGA sister wasn't there to ruin it."
Oh, hi, hello, good evening. So, apparently, my friends and family can't just let me live my life without sending me shit that my little sister posts on TikTok. I am going to say, however, that I am extremely happy for my sister, even though she hates my guts, and that is okay. I am so happy for her. I am so happy that she finally found love, and I just know that she is going to look absolutely stunning on her wedding day. Even though I'm not going to be able to be there, and I'm not going to be able to see her walk down the aisle in her beautiful wedding gown, you guys are perfect for each other. And I don't mean that in any sort of vindictive way. You guys are amazing. You guys are a beautiful couple. And I'm so happy for you guys, and I hope that you guys have a long, beautiful marriage. Congratulations.
Very sad that families are being ripped apart because of politics, and just because someone's a Trump supporter or a Kamala supporter or whoever. This is your blood. This is your flesh and your blood. This is someone you grew up in the same house with. This is someone that, regardless of politics, you should have love and respect for. And I know that some people have crazy family members and issues. We all have issues. Everyone has crazy family members, right? But you should be able to put politics aside and celebrate a wedding. And I think a lot of this tends to happen. It's the left cutting off the right. It's leftist liberals who are cutting off their MAGA family members. And it's such a shame because most liberals who cut off their family members because of political views aren't even doing it because of the, what they disagree on politically. Like, it's not because of the issues at hand. It's because of Trump. And they're doing it to virtue signal. They're doing it so that they can go on social media and get likes and virtual high fives and pats on the back from people that they don't even know, fellow liberals who say, good for you for cutting off that toxic MAGA supporter or whoever. And they feel justified in their position, but it just drives them further away from the people they love. And this sister seemed like a very level-headed, respectful, and mature human being. So if I had to take sides in this, I would take the MAGA sister side because it seems like she can put politics aside and put her family that she loves first. And that's a great quality. So I would say the liberal sister is the loser in this for sure. On that note, thank you for scrolling along with me. I had fun tonight. I hope you did too. If you want to join everyone in the chat, you have to do it on Rumble. Rumble.com/Hayley is the only place you can watch the show. It's the only place you can watch the videos, watch scrolling time, read the comments with me, all that stuff. So I recommend it. If you want to watch later on and you can't make it at 6 p.m. Eastern time, I get it. A lot of people are busy at 6. They're making dinner. They're doing whatever they're doing. They're still at work. So I know a lot of people listen in the morning or they listen at work the next day. So if you want to do that, just find Nightly Scroll with Hayley on your favorite podcast platform, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Make sure that you're subscribed wherever you watch. Leave a 5-star review. Leave a nice comment. Thumbs up. Whatever you got to do. Hit all the things. All of the engagement helps me. And I love all of you for supporting me. So thank you so much. And I will see you right back here tomorrow.